Hello and thank you for joining us today at Distracted by Life. Our podcast is all about making change within yourself and your relationships. We share conversations, stories, and explore ideas coming from our lifelong journey of the high points and especially the low points where we learn to face our fears or cope with pain, loss, and failure. We do this in a discovery quest to establish patterns around our past and understanding whether we are tripping up from our past or being held hostage by it. We work on identifying ways to move forward, aligning our core values, and unlocking the keys to self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-compassion, and letting go of what is not serving you positively in life. A better you is always there, ready to explore in a new world. So let's begin. So, according to Merriam-Webster, the dictionary obviously, definition of integrity is the quality of being honest and fair, the state of being complete or whole, incorruptibility, and soundness. So in this episode, that's what we're discussing here is emotional integrity. I'm a bit curious about this topic myself. And here with us is Amal to share with us a little bit more. Welcome, Amal.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So I'm curious what you mean by emotional integrity if we're exploring it differently than from the definition of integrity itself.
It's knowing what you feel and why, and being able and willingly to share with others, even when it's painful for you.
So general integrity involves being honest with others, and emotional integrity involves being honest with oneself, with yourself. Facing uncomfortable or painful truths inside yourself, I'm guessing?
Yes. I would go as far as saying it's facing uncomfortable or painful truth inside yourself so that they don't harm the people you love. It's more about internal choices than your external ones. It's the opposite of what you think as denial. It's the opposite of avoidance. It's entirely possible to be a person of good integrity while also lacking emotional integrity.
Really?
Yeah, we human beings have a natural tendency to avoid conflict or to avoid difficult things like painful feelings and, like I said, conflict problems or our own weaknesses. Sometimes a lot of the time, we don't want to admit to our weaknesses. It's somewhat built into us to take the easier route out. We always do that, the easier way out. It's easy, less painful.
Yep.
It's always clear. It's not always clear to us that the easier route carries its own threat and a threat to our own emotional integrity. Also, another way to look at emotional integrity is the personal achievement of emotional strength, discipline, completeness that remain constant no matter what others says or do. It includes both a control of emotions and an honest acknowledgement of them, pleasant or unpleasant.
So how do you achieve this emotional integrity?
Well, by challenging the reality of your emotions. Ever heard of the phrase feeling aren't facts, right?
Yes.
Be wary of the words like the words we say like I feel like. Once you add the like, then it's no longer is a feeling, but it's a thought. An example of such statement that we make, like, I feel like you don't like me, or I feel like I'm alone. I feel like everyone is staring at me. Those are all statements, not feelings. Feelings are one word. Here's a list kind of to help you identify exactly what you are feeling. You can't change that of what you're unaware of, basically. So being selective about where you spend your emotional capital is the new kind of the new thing, the cool thing. Ask yourself some questions like, who is this person to me? Are they important to my life? Are they a reliable source? If your answers to these kind of questions no, then you must ask yourself, why does someone who doesn't matter to me have power over my emotions? I am not a fan of someone renting a space in my head, right?
That one I know, yeah.
Especially people who haven't earned it.
Yes.
The problem resides in my head, not in the other person's behavior.
That's logical.
Yeah, because if you're letting the other person kind of shatter your own, your own strength and emotional integrity and all that stuff, then you're giving them more power and you're giving them space and energy. And if you ask yourself these questions and your answers are no, so why are you giving them that space, renting a space in your head? Approval seeking is old news and limiting. Start new and reframe. Spend your emotional credit wisely. So there is another scenario that we could give at the other part. So we use the I feel like statement. When I look at another scenario, for example, a husband and wife scenario, where the wife worked long day, very long day. And what happened was that night they were supposed to go watch a movie, and unexpected situation happened where she was supposed to be picked up and she ended up spending time waiting in the cold, which kind of having her being tired and spending, a long day and standing outside in the cold until she got picked. This
is a very specific general
scenario,
example.
Yes. And it got, and by the time she got picked up, she was literally shivering cold. And anyway, naturally, she tend to get cold pretty much. That's just her body doesn't regulate temperature really well. So
you're getting pretty specific in this one. Yeah.
So let me finish this scenario. So what happened is they were supposed to go that night to a movie. But the reality is the idea was when she gets picked up on time, they get home, they have enough time to change into comfortable clothes, get a quick bite to eat and go to watch the movie. Unfortunately, because of the delay that took unexpected delay, add to it, the wife was already exhausted and tired. The emotional integrity here was this. Rather than the wife admit the truth and not feel guilty and say that she really is really worn out and she's not up to going out for a movie, she felt guilty. She pretended she's gonna, get home and change and maybe eat whatever quickly. And it became this back and forth scenario where in the end she was tiptoeing around the truth is that she doesn't want to go anymore. She wanted to originally, but the truth is she was worn out. Long day since 5 o'clock in the morning. She didn't want to disappoint the husband or the son. And because they already paid for the tickets. So she also was worried about losing money and canceling a ticket last minute for a show. So that's where the emotional integrity scenario is, just being honest. Wow. So you're not resenting and you're not feeling guilty and you're not all of those baggage that we create by not being ourselves and speaking the truth.
That's an incredible example. Very similar. Something happened to me not 2 weeks ago. Very similar to what you described. Wow. I'm glad that she came, to finally admit it.
Well, how many times we don't hold our emotional integrity in the workplace? When people come at us, giving us, we want to please and please and please. And then what we do is we end up put on our plate more than we're supposed to. And we can't live up to those.
To say no.
Yeah. And we can't live up to those expectations. And we don't hold our emotional integrity because we're worried if we don't take on what was given to us and trust it to us, that means we worry about our job, our longevity in a job. We're going to get fired. We're not team players. We're not this. We're not that. And the question remained the same. If we are feeling all of those things that's stopping us from keeping our emotional integrity intact, so we are not leading into this resentful place, then we are not working with the right people. We are not in the right environment. Because as human being and adult, we should be able to say, this is my capacity. I can serve in that capacity without feeling the repercussion and retaliation or fear of losing our jobs.
So what would you recommend then?
Well, I will share 5 tips.
Okay.
In terms of emotional integrity. Hopefully that would be helpful enough. Remember that painful feelings are temporary. They go away much faster and thorough when they are faced and dealt with. So basically, we can avoid the pain because if we avoid the pain, avoiding the pain gives it more power over us.
True.
Know that when you are not honest with yourself, it may very possibly hurt the people around you. Taking the easier route always comes with a price. Because if you choose to take the easy route out, because pick your battle kind of style, internally, on your own, resentment over time built in because you did not hold your emotional integrity intact for speaking your truth. Take seriously your duty to know yourself. People who love you rely upon that. So that speaks to the fact to your capacity. Really know what your capacity and limitations are, because taking a lot on our plate and not being able to live up to that will disappoint people and cause hardship. Or if lying to people about how much we can take on, then we are not helping and seeing others struggling. And we're not being also within that emotional integrity because we are claiming we want to be there for someone and we want to help them, but really we just don't want to do it. And yet we're seeing the struggle. So it has the reverse side of things, knowing yourself and your limitation and your capacity. Own your mistakes and weaknesses. We all have them. And it's far more honest to accept and face them than to ignore them and hide them. Also, be willing to say things that others might find painful. This is the part where you speak your truth with compassion and care. Some people say, I'm a direct person. Sure, you can be, but can you be direct with compassion and care? That's the part where you have to learn to cultivate and balance. In summary, why do we actually want or need emotional integrity? Because it actually creates the connection we all desire. The fear of vulnerability is what keeps us from being us and accepting our feelings. When we dig deeper, we see where we could have done things differently and have to take that responsibility. It's much easier actually to blame other people, another person, and making them the bad guy and having them do all the work than we are actually shedding a light on our own responsibility in something.
That is true.
No one can be perfect at this, right? So it's a practice again to cultivate over time. Everyone's emotional integrity is vulnerable, and we will often be tested through the course of our lives. As we try and we falter and fail at times, the best we can do is to try our hardest. After all, we're only human. So I hope you find this helpful, these tips. Thank you for tuning in. Over to you, Dan.
Well, thanks, Amal. And thank you all for joining us here at Distracted by Life. If you're interested to learn more, check out our other podcasts, of course, or hop online to Amal's website at amalcandido.com, where she talks about her coaching world covering life, leadership, and mindfulness, including links to popular podcasts and to her books as well. And with that said, stay tuned for our next episode from Amal and myself. Thanks again, and talk to you soon.